Greetings and salutations. My name is OJ as always, and welcome back to another episode of the Deadlockathon, a series of videos where I go over every single character in Valve's not so secret hidden game Deadlock. I'll be going in alphabetical order from Abrams to Yamato. I'll be covering their lore / personality, their gameplay and abilities, as well as their design. Please do keep in mind that everything in this series is a work in progress, because Deadlock, the game itself, is a work in progress, so everything that I talk about is subject to change at a later date. And if you wish to play Deadlock yourself, I will throw up my Steam name on the screen, and if you just subscribe, I might be able to throw out a code your way. That's a poor plug, but still. And please do keep in mind that it takes about 1 to 2 days for the codes to come through, so please be patient, and as they say, patience is a virtue. But with that said, our object of obsession for today is a character that I actually have a lot of fondness for. Deadlock's resident wife guy, that being none other than Dynamo. As I do in all of these videos, I would like to start with his lore, and by lore I mean reading his in-game background and giving, some extra little tidbits and bobs of information about him. But with that said, and before I can read about those bits and bobs of information, I would like to read his in-game background, which reads as such. As a scientist, Professor Dynamo always had an inquisitive mind. So when a rift in space and time opened up in Central Park, he was first on the scene to investigate. And while he expected such a majestic sight to be life-changing, he was thinking more in a metaphorical way, as opposed to having his body atomized and reduced to a tiny dying star. But while his body is gone, his spirit and lust for knowledge lives on. A tenured professor at Columbia College, Dynamo looks to learn more about his condition while maintaining his class load. After all, he has future minds to inspire. That kind of explains a lot about Dynamo. That's like, okay, I'm going to segment Dynamo's interactions into 3 different categories, as after reading for a lot of them, outside of the ones where are interactions between 2 people talking about, oh, can you kill people when they're in my black hole? The majority of his interactions come down to, I'm a teacher, I had my body absolutely torn apart by a otherworldly tear in space and time, and I love my wife. I called him the resident wife guy because that is what Dynamo is. He talks about his wife a lot. His wife, by the way, is a woman called Marla, and they have been married for 31 years, which is a long-ass time to be married to someone. And funny enough, I should also mention that Dynamo lost his body 50 years before the ritual, so before the current setting of the game. 50 years ago? How old is Dynamo? Did he fall in love with Marla, whilst he was without a body and just a dying neutron star? How does that even feel? How does it feel to have your body torn apart by a rift in space? And how does it feel to be a dying star? There's so many questions that I have for Dynamo. He just confused. He's like one of the he's like just everywhere. He's one of the most weirdly connected people in the game. He obviously is connected to the Maelstrom, which is basically the event that caused otherworldly shit to be put into Deadlock's universe. Because he lost his body 50 years ago during the first Maelstrom, so he's been around since the beginning. He's friends with a character called Maximilian Fairfax, who is the father of Pocket, as well as Dynamo himself is the godfather of Pocket. He's connected to McGinnis, because McGinnis, here's a fun fact, built his body, the sort of the robot-esque body he has. Yeah, that McGinnis made it. He apparently inspired Seven to do what Seven does. Dynamo is just kind of everywhere at all times. Even Ivy's sister, Sophia Arroyo. No, yeah, is that how you say that? Arroyo? I think that's how you say it. She's actually studying under Dynamo. Dynamo's one of the most weirdly connected characters in this entire game. He just seems to know everyone and has something to say to everyone. He has interactions with basically 99% of the cast. There's very few. He's even got interactions with a character that doesn't even exist anymore, which, if I am remembering rightly, his name was Raka. You guys, some of the newer players of Deadlock may not know who that was, but during a while ago, I think it was just before late August, there was a thing called the Hero Labs, where you could test out heroes that were, being developed. And one of them was called Wrecker. And he actually had voice lines, and he had interactions with Dynamo. And Dynamo knew who he was. Like, Dynamo just knows everyone, and everyone knows who he is. He's even friends with, like, Lady Geist. Like, why does he just know everyone? But I do really love Dynamo. He's very, very sweet, very, very lovely person. He cares a lot about the kids that sort of tutor under him. He cares a lot about his wife. No surprise, married 31 years. Like, he genuinely threatens Lash because Lash kind of goes to insult his wife. Like, I can't remember the exact quote, but I swear he says something along the lines of, like, I'm telling you to respect my wife. And he sounds, like, super serious. Like, he sounds like he's going to kill Lash. Well, not kill Lash, but you know what I mean. He, like, threatens Lash, which, to Dynamo's credit, not many other characters really threaten Lash besides, funny enough, Seven. And I think Abrams does as well. Abrams threatens to punch him in the face, but hey ho. But yeah, like, Dynamo's very lovely, very sweet, very caring for basically anyone around him that deserves the care. Another character he's friends with is, like, Kelvin. Kelvin's been dead, like, for ages, but them two knew each other. Of course they did. He just knows a guy that knows a guy. He's friends with everyone. I love Dynamo. He's so sweet. And I love that most of his interactions, are him showing that sort of sweet side. He's even kind to Viscous, which, for the most part, isn't very common. People are either... most of the characters are either disgusted or quite mean to Viscous, poor sod. But, yeah, Dynamo's really, really lovely, and I must mention that he is one of the few characters who we do have a confirmation for a voice actor for, that being John Patrick Lowry, who... most of you, including myself, will probably only know him as the sniper from Team Fortress 2. That shocked me when I read that, because he does not even remotely sound like the sniper. Like, I could not, if you were to play voice lines from the both of them, I would not be able to tell you that they were, like, similar in any way, shape or form. But speaking of voice lines, as I have in the last couple of videos, I would like to actually play one for you. This one being an interaction between Dynamo as well as Mo and Krill, where he shows his love for his wife, and it's a really sweet interaction between the two of them, and kind of funny. It's mostly because Mo and Krill are just, like, such a fantastic character. Like, Krill is just such a funny character. Like, he has so much personality. But I've made it a trend now of playing at least one voice line to show the good voice acting from, the Deadlock characters, and Dynamo shall be no different. So, with that said, I would like for you to listen to this interaction between Dynamo and Mo and Krill. That's a lot of ands, but you get my point.
Gentlemen, you're both well-connected individuals, right?
We have lived quite the life, yes.
My anniversary is coming up, and I was really hoping to get Marla something special.
What are you thinking? Jewels, fine art, Ixian trinkets?
She's a big reader, so I was thinking a rare book.
My friend, what if I told you I knew someone looking to move a first edition Don Quixote?
I would be very excited, then remind you that I have a teacher's salary.
That does make it a challenge, but one I gladly accept. I will find you options.
Dynamo's just really lovely. I think the reason I don't recognize his voice is probably because of the filter. Like, the reason I don't recognize the sniper is because of the lack of the Australian accent, as well as, the added sort of wobbly robo filter. I don't know how to explain it. A lot of characters in Deadlock do have, like, filters on their voice. Bebop, Viscous, Dynamo, Seven. And a lot of their voice filters weirdly scratch and itch on my brain. Like, I really like Dynamo's voice. It sounds really lovely, really sweet. He, like, sounds like the type of teacher who would go around and, like, help out each kid individually. He sounds just genuinely really, really lovely. And a lot of his voice lines where he, like, shows his care for the kids that, tutor under him and stuff. He's just really lovely. He's a really, really sweet guy. He sort of falls into a similar camp to, like, Bebop, someone who's really sweet, polite, but obviously, if the need arises, can show their powerful side, aka trapping people in a black hole. But that's a thing for literally in, like, 2 seconds. But yeah, I love Dynamo. I love all of his personality. Like, he's just a really, really lovely guy. I don't know what else you want me to say. It's just super duper lovely fella. That's about it. And especially, it's really lovely that he is as nice as he is after what he's been through. Like, anyone else, if they were ripped apart by a rift in space and time, God knows where they could have ended up. But he just continued to be lovely and have a lust or need for knowledge and want to teach people about the world and all of that sort of lovely stuff. But yeah, I love Dynamo's personality. He's just a really, really sweet soul. And yeah, I've repeated myself and said that about 5 times, 50 times, and I've run out of things to say. So, with that said, I would now like to move on to the section about his gameplay and abilities. Do bear in mind though, that when it comes to gameplay and abilities, I record in OBS for audio as well as gameplay footage, just to make it easier so I can talk and show at the same time. It's better for me as well as better for you because you can see what I'm actually talking about as and when I say it. But with that said, please do keep in mind that my voice may sound a little bit different, so if you're wondering why, that's why. But again, with that said, I'd like to move on to his gameplay and his abilities. Right, so here we are in the ever so helpful and ever so lovely sandbox training mode, whatever you wish to call it. And we're here to talk about Dynamo's gameplay. First things first, his actual weapon, which is known as the Vonnegut. I have no idea what that may be a reference to. I think the wiki said it was based off of some famous scientist, but God if I know, I'm not a very smart person. This weapon is pretty bog standard, not in a bad way, but it's very standard. A sort of medium fire rate to it, relatively decent reload, shoots relatively quickly, 18 bullets in the mag is more than most, which is pretty good. Does, you know, respectable enough damage. It's like about as simple a gun as one could possibly get. Like using it in lane to, you know, like secure kills on minions and stuff, like it does the job. You can shoot souls. It is literally just kind of there. It is the weapon of all time. Like, depending on your build, of course, this thing can put out some serious damage, but on a base level, it is just a very, very standard gun. There isn't like any special mechanics that I need to discuss, like say in, you know, in the Drifters video, how his weapons kind of fired in a sort of diagonal pattern. This Dynamo's gun is just very standard, but that does make sense, as back before they removed the feature, they would, on the home menu screen, they would tell you who was like recommended for new players. Dynamo was always one of the ones who had the new player thing on him, and I do think he is one of these characters who is very good for new players. Other characters are characters like Bebop. I've always thought Bebop was really good for new players. He's very simple to understand. Funny enough, I think Infernus used to get recommended as easy for new players. I'm not sure how right that is. He's pretty simple to understand, but anyways, I'm getting off track. Dynamo's a very easy character to understand. And speaking of, first ability, Kinetic Pulse. Release an energy pulse that travels along the ground, dealing spirit damage and applying knock-up. It has a 26-second cooldown. It has 1 charge at base with a, I think it's 5-second cooldown between charges if you have multiple. It does 90 damage at base. Its displacement is for 1 second. The pulse range is 15 meters. The pulse width can scale, but is 5 meters at base. And it looks as such. You sort of do like a little foot stomp and send out a yellow wave that kind of has, it's got like a cool astral effect to it. You can see like little star thingy majigs. It's got, like, its width is almost a little deceptive. Like, that doesn't really look like it would hit because it's right near the edges, but no, the whole thing's a big ass hitbox. This ability can be very, very oppressive. As you can see here, I have a build called The Biggest Wag, all about Kinetic Pulse and making it like as absurd as possible. So just as a show of example, I'll sell all this stuff in a minute, but like I just need to display the sort of like why the I have no idea what has happened, but for some reason that looks way smaller than normal. But can you see the range? Look how far this can go. Yeah, this ability is just very stupid. I wish there was a way to quick sell stuff. Oh my god. The stomp ability is very good. Like, this is a very good ability. As you could just see there from when I was hitting the you know, like the training bot, this ability can do a lot of damage, like a lot of damage. If you, of course, scale in it with a build like this. But it can also be, it's just really useful. Like, there's not a point where you don't want to kind of just shoot them out. Like, obviously you want to be aware of cooldowns and the such, but like team fight, you smack it and you can hit multiple enemies, send them up in the air. That opens them up to attacks from your teammates. It's quite helpful. And in a 1v1 scenario, you can use it and then run away, because with the displacement, they are obviously unable to like move properly. Like, this ability is just really good. Like, Dynamo's kit as a whole is just really solid. But anyways, I'm jumping too far ahead. The first upgrade for this ability makes it so that on hit, there is a 35% slow, and you get negative 35% fire rate for 4 seconds. On second upgrade, on hit, they take 30% more bullet damage for 8 seconds. And on its third upgrade, it does 115 more damage and gains an extra charge, putting its damage at 205. And just as a show, you can see the sort of increased or damage taken from bullets, as well as you can see the sort of slowdown effect from the little downwards arrows. Of course, as I said, this ability is really solid. You can obviously spec into it and make its range absurdly far, as you just saw with this build. Reminder as well that there are stuff that kind of increase range, like the expansion things. This doesn't really have any expansion stuff on it for some reason. Like, just as a show of what expansion does to the sort of one, it makes the thingy kind of wider. Like, it makes the actual stomp wider, which is obviously quite potent. I need to sell that before I move on to any other abilities. But yeah, the stomp is, or the kinetic pulse, I call it the stomp, because, well, obviously, it's what he does. But the stomp is just solid. It's just really, really good. You can use it at any point in the game and it will just be useful. It does good damage. It applies multiple debuffs, like a displacement, movement speed debuff, increased damage taken, minus fire rate. Like, you're just kind of stacking a lot of debuffs as well as good damage. What's there not to like? But anyways, with that said, his second ability is known as Quantum Entanglement. Briefly become untargetable and teleport to the target location. On reappearing, gain bonus fire rate and reload your weapons. You can press the middle mouse button to bring nearby allies, reloading their weapons and granting them half of your bonus fire rate. It has a 16-second cooldown, its cast range is 9 meters, the buff to fire rate is 25%, its duration, as in the time it takes to get from one place to another, is 1.4 seconds, and the distance your allies have to be near to you is 10 meters. And this ability looks as such. When you press the button, you'll have like the sort of ring around you to show the distance that you can go. The little sun face, I'm not really sure why there's a sun face, I will admit, but the little sun face is kind of showing you where you'll end up once you press either one of your buttons. But once you do teleport, it looks as such. You turn into like a little orb and teleport to your position. And enemies can see where you're going to end up. Please do keep that in mind whenever you do Quantum Entanglement. But obviously, as it said in the description, after you teleport, you get extra fire rate. And it also reloads your weapons. Just as a show of the difference, actually. This is the normal fire rate. Then if I teleport, that's the increased fire rate. You can see what I mean by he can kind of build into anything. You build into spirit, bang, you're going to be doing a lot of kinetic pulse damage. Build into gun, you can use Quantum Entanglement to just shoot people really, really fast and kill them. Like, and we'll get to this ability soon, but he can also be a support, and he's very good at being a support as well. But either way, on Quantum Entanglement's first upgrade, you get an extra cast range of 4 meters, taking it to 13. On its second upgrade, the fire rate bonus jumps up to 50%, so it adds another 25. And on the third upgrade, its cooldown is reduced by 5 seconds, and once you teleport, you get an extra 120% max ammo, making the cooldown 11 seconds. That looks as such, by the way. So as you can see, I now have 40 bullets in my mag, with the extra fire rate being obviously quite higher because it's now 50% instead of 25. it basically lasts the whole clip, which of course is quite strong, ignoring of course that you could buy gun items and make yourself even stronger. So yeah, with this ability you can kind of build yourself into a gun build on Dynamo, which is shockingly quite strong. Like, his gun, as I said, is kind of just a jack of all trades in a sense. It's very standard, but that doesn't mean it's bad. Like, it does decent damage, it does a decent... Like, its reload time isn't really that bad. It's not like Doorman, whose reload time is like, okay, Doorman's reload time isn't that long. Who is it that had a really long reload time? It's Billy, wasn't it? Yeah, 3 seconds. Bum. Anyways, Quantum Entanglement, I just need to show it as well. That, say there's this ally right next to you, you can see this sort of little ring around them, and if they exit the area of effect, the ring disappears. But if they're in the area of effect, you both sort of teleport together, and they will be in the position of where they were kind of like standing when they began. Like, say they're jumping up in the air and I teleport with them, they will kind of... Oh, wait. No, you can bring them up with you. That's quite neat, actually. That part of it where you can teleport allies can be really useful for, say, someone like Haze. You could teleport Haze into the enemy team and then she just pops her ult. And because she has the fire rate bonus, if I remember rightly, that should affect her ultimate. So she'll shoot even faster and do even more damage even quicker. So yeah, quite potent. It's fun to teleport your teammates as well. It can be used in obviously defensive scenarios as well. Say you're in lane, your teammate maybe he's pushed a little bit too far, you can kind of run next to them and then teleport alongside them to kind of get them out of trouble. So yeah, you can obviously use this in a defensive manner, but of course you could also use it in an offensive manner. It's quite a versatile ability, and it's obviously a decent bit of movement as well. Like, you can, obviously this is near max upgrade, you're not always going to max upgrade it, but as you can see, using that I was able to reach the roof, just like that. So yeah, it's quite a decent movement ability. But anyways, moving on. His third ability is known as Rejuvenating Aurora, which is a description reading such. While channeling, restore health over time to you and any allies nearby. You can dash and melee without breaking the channel. The health restored scales with spirit, but at base it is 25 health per second. The channel duration goes on for 5 seconds, so in total at base, don't know where that came from, but at base you'll be restoring 125 health, and the meter radius for the friendly heal is 8 meters. It also has a whopping 48-second cooldown, which is very long, but that is because it is a healing ability. You do not really get these very often in Deadlock. There are not many abilities that solely heal. Like, just as an example, Ivy has an ability that helps her heal, the bond, but the healing has to be replicated between the two of you. So someone has to be healing to actually get that ability to use or be useful. Kelvin heals off of his frost grenades, but they also obviously do damage. So like, there's not even like someone like Paige, who I would argue is a dedicated support, doesn't have a heal. Like, okay, no, she does actually have a heal for her ult. But then again, what is that? It's an ultimate. You're not going to be able to use that in every single team fight. I can't think of anyone else. Viscous has a heal as well through the cube, but even then, I'd argue that Viscous is really good actually, but that's for way later down the road. But yeah, this has a whopping almost 50-second cooldown, which is quite a lot, but it looks as such. Sort of just your head glows green, you get like a circle around you to show where the heal would be effective. And just to actually show the heal in action, let us run on over. I should probably turn on fast stamina actually, now I think about it. Let's just run over, get shot by this thing a little bit. Ah, I've lost a little bit of health. And then this is obviously the sort of show of how much healing it can do. It's decent enough. It's fun. It's like, you can kind of like use it in lane to sort of like sustain yourself and keep yourself going in lane. Like early on in the game, that's what it'll probably be used for. To heal yourself and your teammates so you can kind of stay in lane longer without having to go back to base to get like healing from the base itself. But anyways, with that said, its first upgrade grants a 4 meters per second movement speed bonus for 8 seconds if the Aurora is fully channeled. Gain instantly with 5 AP upgrade. I've no idea what that means. I have no idea what that means. What is a 5 AP upgrade? Am I stupid? I don't know. I actually have no clue. On its second upgrade, its cooldown is reduced to 34 seconds, and on its third upgrade, you're able to fully move and use your abilities, and additionally heals for 2.5% of max health per second. So its heals are now going to be far better, because now it's not just healing on a scaling sense. Like, you're not just going to be doing 25 heals scaled with your spirit. You will now be guaranteed to heal at least 12.5% of whoever's health that you may be healing. So say you're going with an Abrams who has like 4k health, you're going to be healing at least 500-ish. And the fully upgraded version looks as such, by the way. Oh, it's the movement speed bonus for the first upgrade. Yeah, I understood the movement speed bonus. What do they mean by gain instantly with 5 AP upgrade? I have no clue. I'm lost on that last part. I'm going to be completely honest with you. I am lost on that last part. I'm sure someone will tell me what that means in the comments, though. I sure hope they do. But yeah, this ability is, as I said, very useful in the early game, because obviously you are able to sort of sustain yourself in the lane for longer, allowing you to get more souls, kill more minions, etc, etc. But it can also be very useful late game, as it's a team-wide heal. Like, if your team is just with you, you're going to be healing them, and the actual max health heal on it is really, really useful, because it helps, you know, to mitigate any anti-heal stuff, because it is guaranteed to be that amount of healing. But this ability does allow him to kind of spec into being a support in a sense, which there are obviously like support builds out there for Dynamo. Though admittedly, yeah, look, support, heal, rescue beam, speedamo Dynamo. Yeah, like there are healing builds for Dynamo because of this one ability, and it's really useful. It's simple but very useful. And with that said, his final ability, aka his ult, is known as Singularity. Create a singularity in your hands, dealing spirit damage over time, applying stun, and then pulling in nearby enemies. It has, again, a whopping 230-second cooldown. It applies stun, of course, does 40 damage per second that scales with spirit, does max health damage, 1.5%, has a 7-meter range, and is channeled for 2.75 seconds, so basically 3 seconds. And that looks as such. So as you can see, Dynamo kind of just like explodes open and has like a ring around him that will suck any enemy in. And as you see, when that enemy gets sucked in, they are completely stunned and very much exposed to sort of other attacks. This is like the best, obviously the most easy and obvious example is this is basically Zarya's gravitational surge from Overwatch. This is an ability used to kind of group up an enemy team into one place so your teammates can do all of the actual damage. Like, of course, this thing does respectable damage on its own accord, because it does, you know, max health damage, and it scales with spirit, so you will be doing, like, really good damage. Say, for example, this build. Although, obviously, a lot of this stuff in here will be put onto the Stomp, all of these spirit upgrades apply to the gravitational hull, or the Singularity as well, so, like, this thing can do some serious damage. And as I'm sure you may have noticed just a second ago, there are obviously builds that sort of spec for black hole stuff. But yeah, this ability is very strong, and there's a reason why it's on 230-second cooldown. But with that said, its first upgrade increases its radius to 9 meters, its second upgrade increases the channel duration to 3.5 seconds, and its third upgrade increases the max health damage to 5.5%, which is a lot, especially on tanky characters such as Abrams or Victor. Especially if you're playing in a spirit build, you may get like anti-heal spirit abilities. Victor can get like demolished in the Singularity if things go well. But the actual show of what the Singularity looks like at max upgrade is such. It's quite a wide range, all things considered. A common thing that a lot of newer Dynamo players might do, I think I still probably do it, is to teleport in and then Singularity immediately. I would, just personally, suggest against it. Because if you are Singularitying just yourself into the enemy team and they just watch you do it, like, you can see it takes a while to travel, right? If they see that, they know you're going to Singularity. So they can easily predict and play around it. So I would suggest against it. Try to play normally, maybe say use this quantum entanglement on the spot, or maybe use your heal to get the speed boost whilst healing your team, and then run in and just Singularity. There's fun ways to use the Singularity. It's a very good, you can win team fights with it. Like, I'm sure you can understand that by grouping up the entire enemy team and stunning them, more importantly, for 3 seconds. A lot can happen in 3 seconds. Just as some examples, Bebop could just bomb. Like, he could just attach a bomb to someone, they all get sucked into Singularity. Ah, what a shame, everyone blew up. Or, again, still keeping on the Bebop trend, Bebop could use his big-ass laser. They're all grouped up and stunned. What are they going to do? You could combine stuns if you felt like it. You maybe use Abrams' ult to sort of keep the stun going. Use Infernus' ult whilst he's running. Like, everyone's grouped together, Infernus runs around, sets everything on fire, and then explodes after your stun is finished to stun them again. Like, anyone with an AoE is going to work with Dynamo's ult. And here's a fun fact. Basically every character in this game has an AoE of some kind. Like, even someone like Drifter, who doesn't necessarily have an AoE, this Rend can still hit multiple enemies. Literally even Vindicta has an AoE. Sinclair has an AoE. Shift doesn't really... no, Slice and Dice is kind of an AoE. You get my point, though. There's a lot of characters... Basically, everyone has an AoE, meaning that everyone can kind of work with Singularity in some way, shape, or form. Like, even... I was gonna say, like, Haze, but Haze has a role. Like, there are so many combinations you can do with the Singularity because it's just, you know, pull everyone in, stun them. Everyone's grouped together and stunned. That's like free damage, really. Like, but of course, it does require some form of coordination. You can't just, like, run in and use Singularity and expect to kill everyone. You do kind of have to think about where your team is, what they're doing, what their situations is. Are they aware that you have your Singularity? Do you want to tell them that you have Singularity? Do you want to tell them that you're going in? Like, that sort of stuff. He's a very, not a team play dependent character, but he does benefit a lot from, you know, working with your team. But yeah, I really like Dynamo's gameplay. Very simple, very beginner friendly. For anyone who's watching this video has maybe never played Deadlock before, I would actually suggest to play Dynamo. He's very simple to understand, and I hope that my explanations has helped with that and maybe understanding some more complex stuff. It's not like super complex, but just stuff to be aware of when you're playing as Dynamo. But yeah, he's a very simple character, very easy to understand, very easy to play, but he's a lot of fun. I do really enjoy his gameplay, though admittedly I do kind of play him a lot of the time to turn my brain off and just stomp my feet. A lot of the time I will just log on, play Dynamo, and just stomp my feet and watch everyone die, just for the fun of it. But with that said, I would like to move on to talking about Dynamo's design. Yes, I am allowed, or I can and will sort of sync these segments together, because I can spawn in this spot and just kind of walk around and look at it. I have no idea why Dynamo's legs are on backwards. I actually could not tell you, but Dynamo as a design is just... I really love him. He has this very Wall-E quality to him, like sort of not cutesy in a sense. Like, this is literally like a... I don't actually know what Dynamo's age is. He's 50 plus at least, right? Because obviously he got transformed. But then again, he was a teacher, if I remember, when he got transformed. He's like... How old is Dynamo? Is he like 70? How old is his wife? Is he going to get his body back and he's just going to be like 20? Like, hold on. Hold on. How old is Dynamo? Questions for another day. Questions that I'll ponder on my own time. But yeah, he has a very, like, Wall-E quality to him, if you see what I mean. Like the robotic body, which, again, quick reminder, robotic body that was made by McGuinness, which has a little connection between the two of them. It's quite but then, here's a question I must pose. Why did McGuinness make him so round? No shame whatsoever. I share a body type with Dynamo, I will admit that. I'm quite the rounded fella, as some may say. Funny enough, one of my friends actually made a joke about that. We were playing Deadlock together, they pinged Dynamo and said, "Look, it's you!" And I laughed, because it's quite funny. Yes, I like fat jokes. You can make them at my expense. Kind of funny. But yeah, I like Dynamo a lot. I really love his design. He has this very Wall-E-esque quality to him, with the sort of robotic body, as well as the sort of small rounded eyes, which I think really work. His gun is quite interesting. I'm not really sure what's going on with it. I don't know why there's like a glowing tube that shoots out lasers. Apparently he made that himself, which makes that even more curious, because why the hell did Dynamo feel the need to make a gun? But his body's kind of like held together by magnets, I believe. Like, that's why his head and hands are floating, and his feet as well. He's wearing shoes. He's kind of like dressed akin to a college professor. I believe he's a university professor, though. I don't remember which one it is. College or university? One of the two. It's obviously different in America, because I live in the UK. College is, like, different from university, but you guys, it's like, I say you guys, a lot of my viewers are American. I think it's like 50%. So for you, college and university are different from how I see college and university. But you get my point. He is kind of just dressed like a teacher. He's got the plaid sort of big jacket on. He's got a cute little green bow tie. He's got his bag with, I don't even know what's in that. Probably schematics and homework for him to do, or homework for him to sign up on. He's got lovely trousers, even though he's obviously backwards. Yeah, lovely beige trousers, sort of plaid, sort of, what color would you call that? It's like a brownish color. I don't know how to explain that color. But yeah, he just looks soft. I know that sounds contradictory because he's literally a robot in a sense, but he has like a soft look to him. He looks really kind. He looks just sweet. Like it fits him personality wise. And yeah, that is a dying star in his head, his little glass head. I have no idea how this robotic glass head keeps a dying star contained. I never will understand that. But I think that's a really neat detail that you can actually like see the star in his head. I also think it's a really neat detail that he's got like cute little rounded glasses on his face. He had no need to he doesn't need to wear glasses. But they put the little rounded glasses on him to kind of show where his eyes would be, which I think is a really creative idea for him. He does actually have a beta or a sort of concept art design. You would have seen it because I placed it as the mediators between the different segments. And that concept design was actually put into the Lady Geist visual novel, which really intrigued me because it seems like they were going to go with that design, but at some point have now changed to this look because, well, for those that don't know, a lot of these characters do at a later date get redesign updates or design updates. For example, with the most recent update that added, you know, all of the new characters, Ivy obviously got a, well, not obviously, but got a redesign. It isn't really a redesign per se, but it's like an updated model. Same goes for Lady Geist and who was Lash? Lash got a updated model as well. And a while back, Dynamo got his not too long after Abrams, I believe. And yeah, like in the concept art and in the Lady Geist novel, he had a different design entirely. But this seems to be the model that they are settling on, and I'm very, very fond of it. I really love his sort of just soft, rounded, Wally reminiscent look. I really like him. I really love Dynamo. He's kind of a weird spot because I really love him, but I feel like I don't really have much to say. He has like a vibe to him that I really resonate with per se. But yeah, this is the end of the video. I feel like I've gotten all my words out about Dynamo and his gameplay and his design and lore and personality, etc, etc. So yeah, this is the end of the video. I hope you've found it informative or helpful in any way, shape or form. And if you did, like, comment and subscribe if you feel so inclined to. I hope you have a lovely rest of your day, whether that be a good evening, afternoon or morning. And the next video in this series will be on a character who is desperately waiting for a redesign change, but one that I still like nonetheless. That being Grey Talon.